Have you guys ever wondered if there is a win condition based on how many security you can recover up to? Because if there is, that would be perfect for this deck. Like always, Digi-Egg cards, 4 copies of the brand new Tokomon from BT14. This has a simple inheritable of your turn once returned. When a card is added to your security stack, you get to draw one. You're doing that a lot in this particular deck. You're recovering a lot, you're cycling through a lot, your security as well at the same time, and shuffling and doing all that jazz. Being able to draw one from that is the perfect egg to have it. Then for rookies, of course, you need to play 4 copies of Patamon. Now this is one of the cards that you really want to see as soon as possible when you're playing this deck because it has a starter main phase effect. You get to search your security stack and then it can digivolve into a yellow Digimon card with vaccine trait among them for free. Then you shuffle your security stack and then if it's digivolved via this effect, you get to place 1 yellow card with vaccine traits from your hand to the bottom of your security stack. Being able to digivolve into a level 4 for free is really good value because as you climb through your stack, you're gonna have a lot of other reductions and you can go into your level 6s very quickly with this particular effect. Then it has a inheritable of your turn once returned. When a card is added to the security stack, you get to gain a memory back. And when you're always fulfilling this combo, which I'll show you guys in the combo segment later on, you're always effectively just gaining 1 immediately from all of this, which is absolutely insane. Really, really good card. Definitely 4 copies of and no less. Next, we have 4 copies of Kutamon from BT13, a really, really great card in addition to this deck because it has that on play, searching the top 3, adding yourself a yellow Tamer, and as well as a yellow Digimon card with vaccine in its traits, which basically this is a yellow vaccine deck after all, so you're going to be hitting them very frequently with this effect. And then its inheritable is kind of nice when you do build a stack is that when attacking once per turn, if there's 6 or fewer security cards in the total of players' security, you get to minus 2000 DP to your opponent's Digimon. Rarely happens, honestly, just because you recover a lot and you really don't want to be seeing that situation as much just because you want to be utilizing with its on play to search as much as you can really for the most part. You guys might be alarmed that we're only playing 8 rookies, but don't worry because there's a lot of cycling with this deck and you're also effectively playing with the security as your hand at the same time, which we'll go through all the other cards and showcase how it all works in the combos as well as we continue. Now moving into our level 4s, you guys know Patamon digivolves into Angemon right here, secret rare of the set and a really, really cool and unique card, which is really special. Digivolves for 3 on top of a level 3 yellow, but specifically using its alternative Digivolution condition, you can digivolve into a Patamon for the cost of 2 only. And with its when attacking effect, it does a bunch of things. By deleting this Digimon, you get to activate one of the effects below. The first option is you get to place one of your opponent's Digimon with virus in its traits to the bottom of their security stack. A very powerful removal tool that is probably almost like not a lot of protection against it. And then it has a secondary option, which is one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5000 DP for the turn. Now, with its secondary effect, which synergizes together with its first when attacking effect, because you do need to delete it in order to activate those. With its on deletion, you get to place this card to the bottom of your security stack. And then if you have a Tamer in play, you get to hatch an egg as well. And then it has the inheritable of on deletion. You get to place 1 yellow card with vaccine trait from your hand to the bottom of your security stack. So a lot of recovery going on. Really, really neat card. And yeah, you definitely want to see this often as well, which always gives you really nice clutch plays. If you're a fan of the AVAULT series on the channel, definitely check out the very first edition of the playmat, which you can get your very own copy right now on the AVAULT store. Also check out all the other awesome merch we got, and here's a special secret for you. Be sure to make an account right now to get an additional 5% off. Lastly, this wouldn't be happening if it weren't for all the support from you guys, so thank you all so much. Then as we move along to our other level 4s, we play 1 copy of GeoGreymon. Kind of sad that this guy got restricted down to 1, but it is incredibly powerful. It's extremely good for this deck. It is vaccine. It lets you play Tamers for free, even for its 3 Digivolution cost. You don't get to digivolve onto the Agumon, which is totally fine, but you get a lot of value off of it. You get to recover 1 afterwards if you play a Tamer, any red or yellow Tamer, and all the Tamers here are in yellow as well. And with its inheritable, you get to delete 3000 DP or less when you suspend a Tamer too. You guys can kind of see why this deck can be super powerful with it. And because of how good this card is, when you see it, you just want to get into it as soon as possible too. Then to round off for the level 4s, we got 2 copies of Kazemon right here, just a simple hybrid for game strategy sometimes, because we do play quite a handful of yellow Tamers, which helps us sort of like we can digivolve, make an extra swing, and go for that extra attack when we need to. Moving into our level 5s, Angemon digivolves into Magna Angemon, which is our main ace card of the deck right here. Three different kind of arts, really cool for this set, really nice artworks as well. But with its hand counter blast digivolve effect, with its on play or when digivolving, if you have 5 or less security, you get to instantly recover one. Then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1000 DP for every security card you have. Not necessarily that you have to play this card when you have 5 or fewer security. It's kind of neat to surprise your opponents to minus their DP after when they're attacking as well, to really give them a counterplay. If you have 6 or more, go for it, because you can reduce a bunch of DP on the opponent's Digimon or even potentially get rid of it, which can always come up in a huge surprise, which is really nice. Now, of course, it has Ace Overflow -3, so if it gets removed in the battle area in any way, you do lose that 3 memory. But yeah, this is a really nice surprise hand trap card of the deck that you want to see every now and then when you do your setup and counter plays. But then, as we move on to the rest of the level 5s, I would say this one's the main one that you want to be digivolving as you build your stack, where we have 4 copies of the Angemon from BT11. When digivolving, it lets you search your security stack to add 1 Angel, Archangel, or Fallen Angel and its traits to your hand, and then you get to recover afterwards. It has a secondary effect, which is your turn once return. When you play a Lady Devimon or Mire, you get to gain a memory. Doesn't really utilize it much in this particular build because we don't play any of those other cards, just letting you guys know. We mainly play it just so we can cycle through our security. It has the Inheritable giving us blocker while we have a purple Digimon in play, but we don't play that as well in this particular deck. So really, again, her main effect is really utilizing off the when digivolving. Then moving into our other Angemon, we have Angemon X, which can digivolve for 0 on top of Angemon. It has when digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gains security -1. Then if you have 5 or fewer security cards and Angemon is underneath it, you get to recover 1, which is really nice. So you get to continue to recover again and again and stack up your big security stack like you always do. That's it for level 5s. Let's get into level 6s. You definitely want to be playing 4 copies of this Seraphimon right here. I kind of wish if there was an alt art for this card, particularly from this set, but maybe we get one in the future. That would be really neat. But this is your main boss, level 6, that you want to get into. For 4 costs, when digivolving, you instantly just recover 1 with no other requirements whatsoever. And all turns once a turn, when a card is added to your security stack, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 7000 DP for the turn, and this guy gets security +1, so you can go for aggressive and control at the same time, which is really good to sort of swing into your opponent's security as well. Then for our secondary level 6, 3 copies of Shadow Seraphimon right here. It can digivolve for 1 mainly. On top of Seraphimon, it has that opponent's turn. Every time you lose a security, you de-digivolve 1 on your opponent's Digimon. And again, that's not once per turn. So if they do multiple checks, you keep de-digivolving them over and over again every time you make a check. It has that on deletion, recover 1, minus 4000 DP to one of your opponent's Digimon. For every security stack that you have, you get to ramp it up as well. So the more you have, you can basically just delete almost anything. Otherwise, if you don't digivolve on top of Seraphimon, sometimes you can even just build a secondary stack with this guy. Having them both at the same time is really nice, which I'll talk about more in the combos and show you guys later on, but a really powerful card too, for sure, that you want to include. Now, one of the cool things is that other than just playing the pure Angel deck, a lot of these Angel support cards from BT14 can also be added into the Mastermon deck to upgrade it and power up even more. So if you guys are Mastermon fans and want to see an updated version for this particular format that I'm working on, definitely be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and give this video a like while you're at it. And don't forget to join the AVAULT Club if you want to see the first draft deck list that I am working on currently as well, so definitely stay tuned for that. Last but not least, just 1 Rune mode, which is really great because Rune mode synergizes very nicely with this deck. It has more recovery, it has DP reduction, it can control the board as well. And the neat thing is that it's also Vaccine in its traits, which has a lot of synergy with the rest of the cards in this deck as well. And yeah, totally up to you guys if you want to even bump this up to 2. Really good card for sure to have in this deck. Moving into our Tamers, of course, we want to play 4 copies of the brand new TK, which is the dedicated Tamer of this particular deck. For 3 costs, it has on play effect. By returning 1 card from the top of your security stack, you get to place 1 from your hand back that's a Vaccine, and yellow to the bottom of your security stack, so you can cycle through and sort of like pick and choose pieces, which is really nice. Its secondary effect is your turn. When a card is added to your security stack, you can suspend this Tamer to gain 1 memory back. So effectively, you can synergize with its whole entire first effect as well, effectively making this a 2-cost Tamer, but also giving you a lot of continuous value later on when you combo and continue to sort of build your stack as well. And then of course, we still need to play the older TK, one of the best yellow memory Tamers of the entire card pool still. It is your memory tamer. It lets you search your security stack, grabbing yourself a yellow card and recovering 1 as well. Again, cycling for pieces, finding your pieces, and searching is really neat. That's it for all the Tamers. Let's now showcase the options. 4 copies of Emissary of Hope. For 1 cost, it lets you search your security stack, and one of your Digimon can digivolve into a yellow level 6 or lower Digimon card with Vaccine as traits among them without paying the memory cost. And then if you do Digivolve via this effect, you get to recover one afterwards. Being able to Digivolve for effectively just one cost into anything is ultra value when it comes to it, because that is just incredibly efficient to help you climb through your stack very, very quickly. It has a security effect as well. You get to play one Patamon from your hand or trash for free, and you get to add this card to your hand. So really good. You want to see this as often as possible. Really, really powerful card to help you again build your stack to combo. Then, of course, 4 copies of Physical Training, a really good staple for almost every deck, essentially helping you search for pieces and reduction when it comes to your Digivolution. And like we mentioned, you can climb through your stack insanely quick, insanely fast with the combination of all the other cards that you have with this particular deck too. Then last but not least, we got to play some removal, some defensive type of options. We got 3 copies of Wyvern's Breath, which we're always trying to hope to recover and sort of like get into. We don't really want to see it in our hand, but if we do have it in our hand, we can sometimes do pay that memory to get rid of big bodies. Otherwise, coming out from security is the best thing ever, because you can then minus 15,000 DP to one of your opponent's Digimon, removing it as your main source of removal tool of the deck. Other tech choices. Another really nice egg that you guys can be playing is actually Angemon from BT14. This one has your turn once a turn when a card is removed from your security stack, one of your Digimon gains jamming for the turn. And because you're always cycling through your security stack with your other effects, you are actually removing a card during that process, so then you can get that jamming efficiency is really, really neat, as well as your alternative Digi-Egg. Otherwise, if you want to play more level 3s, another Patamon from the EX3 set, which helps you search through all your other pieces, is also really neat. By revealing top 4 on play, you get to add 1 yellow card with Angel, Cherub, Throne, Authority, Seraph, or Virtue, other than 3 Great Angels in its traits to your hand, and also 1 card with 4 Great Dragons, but you don't play any 4 Great Dragons in the deck. But otherwise, an additional searcher if you ever really need. Then for Floodgate rookies, depending on the meta and the situation, you guys can be playing Cutemon or Pillowmon. Pillowmon just generically stops anyone from playing Digimon via effects. Otherwise, Cutemon is more applicable because there's so many trainings and so many cost reductions here. Cutemon would be really good because it prevents your opponent specifically to reduce any Digivolution costs there. So really nice inclusions that you can definitely consider. Alternative level 5s. There's actually Rise Greymon here because it lets you play a yellow Tamer for free, but you don't get the on-play effect, which is kind of this drawback. Otherwise, its inheritable is kind of great because if you have 3 or more yellow Tamers, you gain security +1. Really good for offensive like sort of attacks and strategies if you ever need to get into. Another cool thing is that you can also include this Magna Angemon from EX1-2. It gives you extra 4,000 DP when attacking if you have 3 or more security cards, which you always really do, and it's really neat. And then it has the inheritable, your turn once a turn when a card is added to your security stat, you also get to gain a memory, which has a lot of synergy with the Seraphimon, effectively going to make it like a 3-cost Digivolve too, which is kind of cool. And then otherwise, there's also another EX1 Angemon you guys can have. When attacking, if you have 3 or more security cards, one of your opponent's Digimon, and all your opponent's security Digimon gets minus 3,000 DP for the turn, which has a lot of synergy to make sure you're checking in aggressively and strong into your opponent's security at the same time. And then it's inheritable is that when a card is added to the security stack, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2,000 DP for the turn as well, which is kind of neat. So yeah, pretty good alternative level 5s you can play there. And of course, Venuspon is also a really good one that you can splash in. It is also a vaccine, which has a lot of great synergy, but it's not an angel itself, but otherwise a really powerful floodgate to sort of slow down the game if you ever need to. And yeah, just another alternative level 6 other than Seraphi and Shadow Seraphi. Other Tamer you can include is the Taikari. You rarely actually get yourself lower than 3 memory, so it's not going to give you as much value, but if you do get your opponent to 3 or lower, you can constantly gain memory with it, and lowering the opponent's security as well at the same time is kind of neat, so you can make sure that your big stack survives when it comes to attacking. And then for other options, there's Heaven's Knuckle, which is a really cool art that I'm really a fan of right here. But for 4 cost, you get to activate one of the effects below, kind of like what Angemon essentially does. When your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP per turn, or by deleting one of your Angemon, you get to place one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of their security stack. So very interesting when it comes to its own very effect. But yeah, can be a pretty cool tech card to include sometimes here and there as well. And then for other sort of removal, you can actually also be playing Long K instead of Wyvern's Breath, but the only reason Long K doesn't give you as much value because, like I mentioned, your game plan is to actually add a lot of security stacks, so you're actually rarely going to be at the sweet number 3. Therefore, Wyvern's Breath is a little bit better, but you can definitely play Long K if you wish. Another sort of semi-removal or security option type of card I like to consider playing is actually Holy Flame right here instead of Wyvern's Breath, just because it can generically stop a lot of attacks. It has that blanket effect, which is really, really nice and can slow down the game as a whole. And just for 2 costs, sometimes it's arguably just as better or even better than Wyvern's Breath as well because of that. Another similar card is also Odin's Breath to minus 3,000 DP, but also potentially giving security -1 blanket across all your opponent's Digimon if you're ever low on security when it comes to this deck as well. Alright, for combos, the main card that you do really want to see is your Patamon, because then you can Digivolve and hatch your egg, and that's really how it sort of starts the whole engine and basically gets everything going up and ramping on and so on. But of course, there's only 4 copies of this particular Patamon, so if you don't find it, the really cards that you want to be seeing in your opening hand would mainly be your search cards such as TK, the 2 different TKs. This one can search your security, this one can grab your security, so it's kind of effectively like drawing as well, training boosts, and also your Kudamon, which you definitely want to hard play. And in the middle of it, you definitely want to see Emissary of Hope, which is really important. So of course, you had your Digi-Egg. You know, if you don't find your Patamon, play these cards and just continue to play multiples of them even. You know, it's always good value. So Kudamon, very highly that I recommend that you just only hard play it to search for pieces. You don't really need to Digivolve it unless you really need to, or unless you have like an extra one. Then when you do find your Patamon, you just want to Digivolve it and sit at the back. The whole part of this deck is you're gonna have a lot of security to work with. You're gonna be able to access everything in your security to do a whole lot of different combos and plays and so on. So basically how it works is that you just wanna push it up and use its start of main phase to then look at your security and really just find your rest of your pieces that you wanna try and potentially Digivolve into for free. Here, Digivolving into Angemon is really good, because then you Digivolve for free, you get to do a whole bunch of effects. Otherwise, you can just keep the Angemon there, because the next play is you would either use your physical training, or when you have enough memory and so on, you would then go into your level 5, which is Angemon, via this kind of effect. And when you recover at any time, or sort of add cards back to your security stat, you get to suspend this TK, gain a memory back, and continue with Angemon to continue to find your pieces, and then to go into Seraphimon just like that. In between, if you can find like Angemon X, then that's fantastic, more recovery, and you can build a really strong and powerful security stack, and you keep growing it as you keep going. And in between, when you're Digivolving, sometimes you just want to play Emissary of Hope. Really important things is that anytime when you play a card that searches your security stack or looks at your security stack, make sure you memorize what you find in there and plan ahead, because by doing so, really importantly, if you remember what you have, then you can always play Emissary of Hope, knowing what you can find exactly, or even Angemon, so you know exactly what you're grabbing. You're gonna be putting cards from your hand back into your security stack really often as well, and really cycle through that way and play around that way. So once you get into Seraphimon, that's when you really go for your aggressive plays and just start checking on your opponent's security as much as you can, and swing and continue to repeat these kind of combos again and again. Now, of course, sometimes you might just sit there with Angemon. You can just really pressure there, because if you have a level 4, you can always surprise and potentially blast Digivolve into a Magnemon Ace during your opponent's turn to sort of do like a counter attack against them. And sometimes, if not, in the mid stage of the game, you can always utilize this Angemon to sort of help you cycle through again to, you know, put more security stack back, take away your opponent's Digimon, and really utilize all these kind of creative effects, gain a memory with Patamon, draw cards with Tokomon as well, and always keep on remembering to suspend your TK to sort of gain the memory back. And it's very simple. You just build into this kind of stack just like that, and you would go into whatever as you're sort of building into Seraphi. Sometimes you can always then Digivolve into Shadow Seraphi if you really need to, but what I like to prefer to do is sometimes when you build like a second stack, and as you grow through it somehow, such as again Digivolving into a Angemon here again, and then you eventually go into another Angemon level 5, and you can keep cycling, and then you will build like 2 stacks, 1 Shadow Seraphi and 1 Seraphi, to sort of like combat against your opponent. And you have these 2 really strong towers on the board, and they just sort of flood it and stop and control your opponents. Keep in mind, Seraphimon's effect, when you Digivolve, you get to recover 1, and every time when you do add a card to the security stack back, either with a TK or even as you're cycling through into your second stack as well, you're always going to be putting cards back. Keep in mind, it's all turns. You get to minus your opponent's Digimon once per turn, minus 7,000 DP, and he'll gain extra security +1. So let's just say if they get rid of Shadow Seraphi right here, you get to disrupt them, you get to minus 7k because you get to recover 1, and also, you know, minus even more, which is really neat. Or if you even have like a secondary like mini stack right here with Angemon, you can swing and do that combo the same way and sort of utilize it there over and over again, which is really neat. And also again, you can synergize with Blast Digivolving on your opponent's turn to disrupt them. So really play with your tools, and that's the really fun part about this deck. You recover a ton, you attack with your Seraphi as much as possible with the security +1s, and you basically just try to finish the game just like that. So if you guys want to see all those crazy combos and plays that I showcased just now in action, be sure to watch the gameplay guide right here. Be sure to stay tuned for more BT14 deck profiles and video content coming real soon. Definitely subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and as always, you guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. It is Vault, signing